Hello guys, welcome back. Look, he's back here. You have so much belief in humanity. Uh, Long story, I'm kind of going through something spiritually. And I know I have to be the one to drag me out of this, but well wishes are appreciated. Heathens Against Hate has a YouTube channel. And against my better judgment, I went there. I say against my better judgment because these people mean well, but they're kind of naive. And they don't realize how the internet works. If you put something good and pure up on the internet, within nanoseconds, hateful people just gather around it to kick it to death, which is what happened to every one of their videos. And I heard, yep, just about. I understand human nature, I think, far better than they do, and they seem to have this rather. I'm not trying to downgrade what they're trying to do. I mean, it's a noble attempt, but they seem to have this naive belief that if you use logic, reason, and calm voices, very hateful people will suddenly see the light. They did share stories where they reached people, but I'm like, wow, you're fighting a losing battle, but by all means. And they did two videos, and both of them were pretty much the same. And it was about, our symbols and how they're misappropriated and everything else. And the amazing thing was, for a group of heathens, people were gasping in shock, like they've never seen this shit before. I'm like, really? Where have you been the last 20, 30 years? Honestly, you don't watch the news? You don't get a paper? So, it just brought out the bitter, jaded pragmatist in me that was like, they're fighting a losing battle. They'll be gone like all the groups before them, because you'll see groups try to come onto Facebook and they're going to change heathenry and make it a safe place. Oh, it never works. And they were saying, they don't understand how that the far right has such much deeper pockets. Like if they go to work in a prison system to try to turn the prisoners around, um, they have much deeper pockets. The opposition, they can just get tons of books in there. They can get tons of people. They can create a brotherhood. That's why these people are attracted to extremists, because they're so well funded and they work so well. And they'll send spies in to infiltrate these groups that are trying to work for, inclusion and everything. And they're fighting against people with a lot more money and a lot more power. And I'm like, this is very noble indeed, but until you figure out a way to get more funding and you figure out a way to use the enemy's tactics against them. I spent way too much time with Ogu. You're not going to get anywhere because you're trying to be nice in a war with people that'll just step on you. This isn't going to work. And I'm not calling for violence or extremists, but I'm like, you're trying to play fair against people that aren't going to play fair. It's never going to work. And if you want to match them, you have to fight them on their terms. And they're not going to care about nobility and that. They'll say that as a front, but they're going to fight dirty. You got to fight dirty too. I grew up in a rough family. And, I heard, uh-huh. And it kind of made me question stuff, because you guys know, I've been open on mixed heritage, as some people would put it. I have a quarter Italian, quarter Poland there, as we know. But now we know DNA doesn't work like that. We know just because this parent was this and this parent was that doesn't mean you necessarily got that DNA. But we also know that DNA tests are like cocktail party favors. They really don't do anything but give you the warm fuzzies. They can't, as of yet, tell you accurately where your DNA actually came from. So I kind of got in despair, and I thought, I'll get my rune book out, my little rune book for kids. I'll get that out. And I remember I bought this around last year, and I think I showed it to you guys, and I'm so sorry. I was so stupid. I didn't know any better, okay? I thought it was cute. I thought Odinist was a good word. I thought it was a good word. I didn't know what it meant in America, and I went back and I checked it out just to check to make sure, because something was bothering me. It was like, this is an awful lot of white people and all these drawings for children. Usually books are like a little more progressive. Why are there only white people in here? And I found out that this person has made like 30 different copies of, like, say, the Havamal or something. Some motherfucking Havamal comes from her too, but I mistakenly bought two books off the same individual and supported right-wing ideology, so I feel fucking fantastic at that point. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, because the one book she wrote, it's translating somebody else's horrible rhetoric, and it's about how all German people had blonde hair and blue eyes and they were a superior race, and Jesus fucking Christ. So, at that point in time, I'm feeling great, as you can imagine, because I'm like, what the hell? I didn't actually do this on purpose. And I felt terrible, and I'm thinking, what do I do? I don't want to burn these books or buy into their ideology. I don't want to throw them out, and I'm sure as hell not going to give them away because, God forbid, somebody finds them and gets exposed to this kind of ideology, doesn't know that's not what every, practicing pagan witch or heathen is all about. So I thought, well, now I'm fucking stuck because I got this stuff in my house and it, you know, put out by this woman, and I don't want it in my house, but I can't fucking get rid of it either. And I'm like, I'm not going to burn a book. So I don't know what to do with that stuff. And I'm like, the bad fucking thing is, it's cute. It's cute. It's really subtle. If you didn't realize, if your brain didn't say, why is it only white people in these drawings? You wouldn't have even noticed. And I noticed because I taught children for years, and we were very, we tried to be inclusive as possible to show children that you may come from a community where everyone looks like you. And I'm not just talking about white communities, but there are other people in the world, and this is what some of them might look like. To get children used to the fact that, yeah, you're going to get out there, you're going to get out in the world, you're going to go to high school, and you're going to go to wherever, and you're going to probably work with a bunch of people that don't look like you, and it's okay, and they're not out to get you. So, it was just, it was lovely. And I kind of hit this emotional low point where when I go into meditation sometimes, I try to go off and be alone. And I'm trying to go off and be alone, and Udin is following me. I'm like, you don't quite seem to understand what the spirit is, all father. I need to be alone. And he would refuse, and I would keep, like, changing my setting and going from place to place to place, and he would keep following. And I was just so spiritually exhausted and wondering what if the hateful people were the right ones and the rest of us are just mistaken. And I'm laying on this beach of these kind of blackish blue pebbles. Now, I made up this beach in my mind. It wasn't something the gods gave me. And the ocean is absolutely still, and it's this kind of blackish blue and gray clouds in the sky, and it was just like, this is what despair feels like. I kind of lay down. I'm laying down on the stones, and Odin's coming, and he's being very insistent. Every time I try to run, he's like either coming, putting a spear nearby me, which was, very comforting, or trying to wrap his cloak around me, and I wanted nothing to do with him. And we had a discussion after I realized I couldn't meditate to get away from him. I said, I don't know. I don't know if those are your people too. I don't know if you talk to these people. I said, I don't know if they're the ones that you talk to and we're the ones you don't. I said, I don't know if we're just all not fucking crazy and there are no gods, because I'm like instant atheist when things go bad enough. And I said, if you do talk to those people and I'm the wrong one, I might as well move on, because I'm a mutt. I'm like quarter Pole, quarter Italian. I don't belong anywhere. I'm like half German that we know of. And again, like I said, we know DNA doesn't work like that. I said, I don't belong anywhere. I don't have the blood to qualify for anywhere, because people now, they want the pure bloods, and I don't want much like me. I said, I might as well go back to Greece or go somewhere else. I said, I don't have anyone to be with. And I was just, pushing the gods away. And it sounds trite now, and it sounds like, oh, so dramatic now, but I was just in absolute despair. And I got up this morning. I was still feeling lousy, but I got up from a tree where I was going over all these obstacles on a raging river, going like on this obstacle course. And then, of course, I went over a falls, and something told me it was the highest falls in the world. And I went over and I lived. And it was kind of exhilarating to go over, and I knew I looked it up. They're like, that has to do with emotions and everything. And I'm like, I got enough shit to deal with now. I don't need to deal with my emotions too, or it's coming, or, released or something. And I was just in despair. So I got up, I got my grocery order taken care of, and I actually went back to bed for a while because I'm like, well, sometimes if I take an extra sleep, it kind of like resets me emotionally. And I got up still feeling lousy. And I tried Pinterest. And I tried everything else, and I'm just like, I'm just in this mood right now. I think it doesn't help that the country is the way it is. I mean, the alt-right is very bold and out in the open now, and they're very proud of themselves. And since they're the loudest motherfuckers in the valley, everyone, else just gets real quiet. And I don't know. I'm a cynic, and I don't believe in human decency right now, and it's it's one of those things where I didn't even, really approve of this group because, like all human beings, once there's more than one or two of them, they think they should suddenly have the right to tell everybody else how to behave. If you want to be part of their group, you have to live by their laws. And I was thinking, no, fuck you. So you know how I am. You're not going to tell me what to do. I'm a free thinking individual. I heard that's why everybody loves you. That was sarcasm, by the way. I just won't listen. I went through that bullshit in the church. I had to live through that bullshit when I was trying to practice food. And I'm like, no, fuck you. At this point in my life, nobody tells me what to do. So that was just an exercise in futility to watch that, but it opened a lot of old wounds and it got a lot of poison out, I suppose. But it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know, because it's one of those things where, if I'm honest, I wonder, are they right and we're deluded, or what's going on? They're certainly a lot more vocal and they have a lot more funding, and I'm just tired at this point. I'm tired of the people that say the gods are exclusive. I'm tired of the people that say they're inclusive. I'm tired of everybody at this point. I said, you know what? Today's going to be Atheist Day. I'm going to go off and worship a flying spaghetti monster. And to top it all off, there was a crow this morning. I was like, you know what? I don't care. I heard like 5 caws and then I didn't hear anything. And I'm like, eh. So I told you guys I would share the good and the bad and the ugly with you. And I think I was just overdue. And I've been getting Lagoose for a while, and then I was getting Issa. And then, I was thinking it was about time for Lagoose to come up. So I don't know what it's from. If it's, I've been open with you guys. I was raised in a household where I was raised between two extremes. My mother loved everyone. My father was a Nazi. And I'm like, he was a Nazi in everything except for finding a group to be in. He would have been a Klansman if they would have taken Catholics and Italians. He fucking would have. He hated people. So I don't know if I'm feeling guilt for that because he tried to raise me to be Nazi the second, and what it is. I said, I do know that as he was raising me that way, we were supposed to be Catholic, but I wondered about these gods because thankfully the books, on the Nazi party didn't really take the gods seriously, didn't talk about them. I said, I know I tried to reach out, and I said no one would ever answer me. I just felt this kind of like cold disdain, and I didn't understand why. And I think maybe it's because Odin thought that was a lot of bullshit right there. And he wasn't talking to anyone that was going to talk to him as a Nazi, but I'm like, it's so fucking crazy because the way I was raised, I'm like, did the Norse gods end up being attracted because my father was a fucking Nazi? Did they get attracted because we're German family? Did they get attracted because they're attracted to people in general? So I try to put myself into exile. I try to walk away from the gods and put myself in exile for punishment because I said, there were points in my life where I was really ready to buy into my father's ideology. I mean, we've talked about before. He was halfway convinced Hitler was coming back and there was going to be a glorious new world led by, the Führer. And we had to be ready. It wasn't exactly, anything crazy or fine, but it included weapons training, learning that we were superior to all other races and that the other portions of my blood literally did not exist because German blood is stronger. That is some big fucking German magic right there. And it was facing, I guess, how my father treated his own wife. He treated my mother that he was supposed to love, and he was apparently really gentle and kind when he courted her. He treated her like dirt because she was, half Pole. And he just kind of, as time went on, fell more and more and more in love with Nazi ideology, but at the same time, he was strangely loyal to America, so I don't know how the fuck that worked out in his head. Only thing I can say is I think when he had military service, they fucked with him because he came out, my mother said, completely different. So I don't know what the fuck happened to him in the military, but it changed him into a Nazi. So good job there. Um, and I think that's what it is, and I think is Odin's been pulling me towards heathenry, which I still don't like the idea of. I'm like, you don't get it. I was raised in that hate. If anybody would be prone to become a goose-stepping neo-Nazi, it would be me because I was fucking groomed for that shit. I said, I'm not comfortable, all father. I know how they think. I know how they fight, and I know they're fucking merciless, and that's why I know these people that mean well aren't going to win. Because I know what those tactics are like. I know how persuasive that rhetoric is. I said, they're not gonna fucking win. I'm not trying to give you despair. You should fight hate wherever you see it. But at the same time, I'm like, you gotta fucking learn how they think and learn how to fight like they do. Because they're not gonna have mercy on you. They don't even see you as human if you're standing against them. You have to understand that. You're not human if you stand against them. I can tell you that right now because that's how I was raised. So, I mean, I had the saving grace of my mother. And I think that's just been what it is, because I kind of feel this kind of breakthrough happening right now that I've carried that for so long. But, I broke down the tears last night, and I apologized to the gods. And I certainly apologize to you people because I wouldn't teach that on this channel, but it is a very seductive rhetoric to be told that there's this glorious future waiting for you and that you're part of this brotherhood. And as long as you don't mind all the misogyny and the homophobia and everything else that goes along with it, and you can fake being straight or you can fake being a weak, effeminate woman, and I mean effeminate because you really gotta mince it up. I'm a little more butch than that, I guess. It's a very seductive ideology because you're powerful, you're special, you matter more than everyone else. I mean, come on, I was fucking convinced my German blood had actually killed my Polish and Italian blood, so and I guess I'm paying dues for what my father taught me. And I don't believe any of that, by the way. I know better now. I realized my father was trying to brainwash me, and of course my father's family was no better. They were bigoted in favor of Mussolini. I grew up in the most fucked up family, and they're lucky that, people didn't go, like, from house to house checking out your ideology back then, or the whole family would have been kicked out of this country. Anyhow, I guess that's hard to come from. And I guess it makes me feel guilty about having anything more peaceful with the gods now. And it's why I always like double and triple check stuff on Pinterest because I'm like every single fucking pin. I'm looking for the hidden swastika. I'm looking for anything that looks like it might have been misappropriated. Because I know how subtle it is. And I know how they'll use feelings of giving you a family and comfort and hope and strength and everything on you. So I'm talking about the far right and neo-Nazis. I'm not talking about, heathens against hate or something. So it's just one of those things. And it's kind of my cross to bear, to borrow a phrase. It's something I'm gonna have to go through. I can't go back and take that part of my life out as much as I want to. Why the hell the Voodoo Loa ended up working with me for years, I have no fucking idea, other than Ogu says he feels sorry for stupid animals. So, so that is what it is. So, I'm sorry that wasn't happy, but I think it feels kind of timely for someone, and the only thing I can tell you is that if you go down that road, you're going to be bitterly disillusioned because there's no super great future waiting for you based on anything that they tell you, based on being white, based on being German, based on being American, based on being whatever. Life is what it is. Good and bad comes to everyone. There's nothing inherently magical, about being German or American or white or anything. So, this channel's gonna get banned. So, if you like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you later. Bye bye.